Network endpoint group in Google Cloud. In Google Cloud, a network endpoint group is a logical grouping of endpoints in a form of IP and port combination used by load balancers to route traffic more easily than traditional instance group backend. Instead of sending traffic to VMs as a whole, and network endpoint groups route the traffic to a specific service running on service port, containers, or even an external endpoint. While NEG or network endpoint group exists, the problem they solve is basically in traditional backend options, that is the managed instance group or unmanaged instance group. The limitation for traffic is sent to the entire VM, not suitable for multiple services on same VM. Containerized workload, that is if that Docker has created a multiple containers, then we cannot send different traffic routes to different containers or GKE, that is Google Kubernetes Service Engine services, and hybrid or serverless backends. Uh, network Network endpoint groups solve this problem by targeting specific IP address and port, uh, uh, port endpoints, enabling container native load balancing and supporting a hybrid architecture. The type of network endpoint groups are there are multiple types depending on the architecture. One is the zonal network NEGs, we can say, used for VM, that is having a VM IP and port endpoint, and it is also used in container native load balancing in Google Kubernetes pod. And you can see that if it targets the IP address plus port of the container, we can say. So here we can see an example. uh, Now the common use is actually in Kubernetes service in GKE microservices running in VMs, and works with external it also works with like external HTTPS load balancer or internal HTTPS load balancer, or we can say that application load balancer. NEG, it is used for external backend outside GCP, hybrid cloud or third-party APIs. The endpoint consists of public IP plus a port or FQDN. FQDN is basically uh, like a full domain and host name plus domain. For example, like image.google.com. So here image is the host name and domain becomes google.com. Similarly, like we have another example could be like studio.youtube.com. So youtube.com becomes the domain and studio becomes the host name, like that. So it is used in on-premise and servers and backend AWS backends or SaaS providers. It is a serverless. Then there is a third uh, type of NEG, which is called as NEG, which is serverless NEG, used for cloud run or cloud function or app engine, and and works with external uh, application load balancer like HTTPS load balancer. Example services that are cloud run, cloud function, and app engine. Like here, we do not require any API management because it is actually this is serverless, and this is a what we say platform as a service. So obviously this is taken, the networking is taken care by the cloud provider itself. Then there is the hybrid NEG, when we used when some backend in GCP or some on-premise or on some cloud network. It is used for multiple cloud architecture or gradual migration strategies. Need to check that what it is. How this NEG works in load balancing in modern load balancing architecture in Google Cloud. The flow is like there is a client, and then there is load balancer, and then there is packet service, and then network and endpoint group, and then specific endpoint or serverless or applications or pods or Kubernetes services, like that. This enables a fine grained routing, network container native load balancing, traffic splitting, blue green deployment, or canary releases. So lastly, we will check with NEG with GKE, that is Google Kubernetes Engine. And when using with Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE automatically creates next for Kubernetes services instead of like load balancer plus node port plus like pod connectivity. It becomes like load balancer and pod directly. So that's what is uh, and the benefit is actually lower latency and much higher like much better health checks and accurate traffic distribution and no node port dependency. So those are the differences between the NEG and instance group. And real world DevOps use cases. Imagine like one VM is running on app A and on port 8080, and another is on running on app B port 9090, and using the instance group the traffic can't target port individually because why it is cannot be traveled because the entire VM is getting the service the port, and not each service is getting the port. So using NEG we can target each port based on the IP address and the port number. So it becomes like the IP address is 10.0.0.5 and 10.0.0.5, and the port numbers they are differentiated by the port number. Very useful, very handy. When should you use NEC? Using NEC when should you use NEC? You should use NEC when you are using the Google Kubernetes engine, and when you are using serverless applications or using hybrid backends, or if you want a native cloud balancing or fine-grained control access. If you want to be a interview ready or to file, what is the definition? You can go with this one like network and endpoint group in Google Kubernetes Cloud is basically collection of IP address and port endpoint that allows load balancing to distribute traffic at a service level rather than at VM level, enabling container native or serverless or hybrid load balancing architecture. That's all for now. Hope you understood. Bye bye.